Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivashikam Vitam Scha Om Ajnana Timarandasya Ajnanajana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gorba Bistam Supurakam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samastabeda Nipunam Shirupa Patanagam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Bidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Nawe Bija Pradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandabaranam Balarkachelan Shitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishwara Shidaram Vanshakapatarubhyasya Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishaye Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and this is the Antya-lila, chapter 3, the glories of Srila Haridas Thakur. And I'll read a few verses that I read yesterday. We'll start with text number 68. Mahaprabhu has asked Haridas Thakur, how can all the living entities, both moving and non-moving, how can they be delivered? So there are many living entities as trees, plants, like this, and Mahaprabhu is concerned that he wants to provide for the spiritual benefit of all living entities. So, Haridas Kohe Prabhu Se Kripa Tomar Stavara Jangama Age Koriyachanishtar. Haridas Thakur replied, my dear Lord, the deliverance of all moving and non-moving living entities takes place only by your mercy. You have already granted this mercy and delivered them. Tumije korijacha eucha sankirtan stavara jangamera se hatyanta shravan. You have loudly chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, and everyone moving or non-moving has benefited by hearing it. Shunya jangamera hoy samsara koi stavare se shabdalage Pratidvani hoy. My Lord, the living entities who have heard your loud sankirtan have already been delivered from bondage to the material world. And after the non-moving living entities like trees hear it, there is an echo. Pratidvani nahese koreye kirtan tomara kripare akatyakatan. Actually, however, it is not an echo. It is the kirtan of the non-moving living entities. All this, although inconceivable, is possible by your mercy. Sakala jagate hoy ucha sankirtan shunya prema veshe nache stavara jangam. When loud chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is performed all over the world by those who follow in your footsteps, all living entities, moving and non-moving, dance in ecstatic devotional love. Jaiche koila jarikande brindavana jaite balabhadra bharacharya kohi jachin amate. My dear Lord, all the incidents that took place while you were going to Vrindavan through the forest, known as Jarikanda, have been related to me by your servant Balabhadra Bhattacharya. Vasudeva Jiva Lage Koila Nibedan Tabe Angikara Koila Jivara Mochan. When your devotee Vasudeva Datta submitted his plea at your lotus feet for the deliverance of all living entities, you accepted that request. Jagat Nishtarite Tomaravatar Bhakta Baba Agetate Koila Angikar My dear Lord, you have accepted the form of a devotee just to deliver all the fallen souls of this world. Ucha Sangratan Tate Korila Prachar Stirachara Jivara Saba Kandaila Samsar. You have preached the loud chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and in this way freed all moving and non-moving living entities from material bondage. Prabhu Kohe Shubha Jiva Mukte Jabe Pabe Eta Brahmanda Tabe Jiva Shunya Habe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, if all living entities are liberated, the entire universe will be devoid of living beings. Haridas Bole Tomar Jabat Martestiti Tabat Stavara Jangama Sarva Jiva Jati Sabmukta Koredumi Baikunte Pataiba Shukma Jive Punakarme Udbuddha Koriba. Haridas said, my Lord, as long as you are situated within the material world, you will send to the spiritual sky all the developed moving and non-moving living entities in different species. Then again you will awaken the living entities who are not yet developed and engage them in activities. Se jiva habe ihan stavara jangam tahate baribe brahmanda jena purbasam. In this way, all moving and non-moving living entities will come into existence, and the entire universe will be filled as it was previously. Purbe jena raguna sab ayodhya loya vaikunta ke gela anya jive ayodhya bharana. Previously, when Lord Ramachandra left this world, he took with him all the living entities of Ayodhya. Then he filled Ayodhya again with other living entities. Avatar tumi jaiche patijachahat kehona bhujitek pare tomara gunanat. My dear Lord, you have set a plan in motion by descending to the material world, but no one can understand how you are acting. Purvejena Braje Krishna Koreavatar Sakala Brahmanda Jiver Kandaila Samsar. Formerly, when Lord Krishna descended in Vrindavan, he freed all living entities in the universe from material existence in the same way. Nachaivam Vishmaya Karyo Bhavata Bhagavati Ajay Yogeshvareshvare Krishna Yata Etad Vimuchyate. Krishna, the unborn Supreme Personality of Godhead, master of all masters of mystic power, delivers all living entities, moving and non-moving. Nothing is astonishing in the activities of the world. Ayami Bhagavan Drishta Kirtita Samsmritascha Dveshanu Bandhenapi Akila Sura Saru Radi Durbalam Phalam Rayachati Kemuta Samyag Bhakti Matamiti. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead may be seen, glorified, or remembered with an attitude of envy, he nevertheless awards the most confidential liberation, which is rarely achieved by the demigods and demons. What then can be said of those who are already fully engaged in devotional service to the Lord? Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead may be seen, glorified, or remembered with an attitude of envy, he nevertheless awards the most confidential liberation, which is rarely achieved by the demigods and demons. What then can be said of those who are already fully engaged in devotional service to the Lord? Taijse tumi Nabadwip Koryavatar Sakala Brahmanda Jiver Korila Nishtar. By descending as an incarnation at Nabadwip, you, just like Krishna, have already delivered all the living entities of the universe. Jeko he Chaitanya Mahimam Mora Gochara Hoy Se Januka Morapuna Etanisjoy. One may say that he understands the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He may know whatever he may know, but as far as I'm concerned, this is my conclusion. Tomara Jai Lila Maha Amritera Sindhu Moramano Gochara Nahe Tara Ek Bindu. My dear Lord, your pastimes are just like an ocean of nectar. It is not possible for me to conceive how great that ocean is, or even to understand a drop of it. Etashuni Prabhur Mane Chamatkara Hoila Mora Guda Lila Haridasa Kemone Janila. Hearing all this, Mahaprabhu was astonished. These are actually my confidential pastimes, he thought. How could Haridas have understood them? Manera Manera Santoshitare Koil Alingan Baye Prakashite Esab Gorilla Barjan. Greatly satisfied by the statements of Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him. Outwardly, however, he avoided further discussions of these matters. Ishvara Sabhava Aishvarya Chahe Achadite Bhaktatai Lukaite Nare Hoi Ta Bidite. This is a characteristic of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he wants to cover his opulence, he cannot do so before his devotees. This is well known everywhere. When Mahaprabhu is asking questions about how all the living entities of the universe can be delivered, both moving and non-moving, and Haridas Thakur gives his conclusions, then Mahaprabhu is amazed that Haridas knows of Mahaprabhu's confidential pastimes. And it mentions here, greatly satisfied by the statements of Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him. Outwardly, however, he avoided further discussions of these matters because he knows Haridas Thakur is expressing his most confidential Leela and how he actually comes to this world to give Krishna consciousness to all living entities. But outwardly, he avoids further discussion because Mahaprabhu's sentiment is to show himself as a devotee, not to be glorified as the Supreme Lord. He has, as we've said many times, he shows the heart and halo of a devotee. And he's not trying to manifest himself as Krishna because he's covered with the sentiments of Srimati Radharani. So what he expresses is devotion. But Haridas understands Mahaprabhu's, how by appearing as Mahaprabhu, he's giving out the Maha Mantra, giving out the entrance into all the loving relationships with the Lord to everyone. But Mahaprabhu is not, it's not his intention to be glorified by as the Lord. He wants to show the humility of a devotee. Ulangita Tribida Sima Samatishaye Ulangita Tribida Sima Samatishaye Sambhavanam Tava Parivradimas Sabhavam Mayabolena Bhavatapi Niguyamanam Pashanti Kechid Anisham Tvad Ananya Bhava. O my Lord, everything within material nature is limited by time, space, and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. Now, this is a confirmation of the statement that this is a characteristic of the Lord. Although he wants to cover his opulence, he cannot do so before his devotees. This is well known everywhere. Tabe Mahaprabhu Nija Bhakta Pashe Jana Haridaser Guna Kahe Shatamukahaya. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to his personal devotees and began speaking about Haridas Thakur's transcendental qualities as if he had hundreds of mouths. Bhaktara guna kohite prabhur bharaye ulas, Bhaktagan Shreshtatate Sri Haridas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives great pleasure from glorifying his devotees, and among the devotees, Haridas Thakur is the foremost. Haridas Gunagan Asankhya Apar Kehokona Amshe Barne Nahi Pai Par. The transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur are innumerable and unfathomable. One may describe a portion of them, but to count them all is impossible. Chaitanya Mangale Sri Brindavana Das Haridas Gunakichu Korijachim Prakash. In the Chaitanya Mangal, Srila Vrindavan Thakur has described the attributes of Haridas Thakur to some extent. The Chaitanya Mangal is now known as Chaitanya Bhagavad. In the Chaitanya Mangal, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has described the attributes of Haridas Thakur to some extent. Sab kaha na jai Haridas Charitra, Sab kaha na jai Haridas Charitra, Keho kichu kohe korite apana pavitra. No one can describe all the qualities of Haridas Thakur. One may say something about them just to purify himself. Vrindavana Das Jaha na koila varnan Haridas guna kichu shuna bhaktagan. The devotees of Sri Chaitanya, O devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please hear something about the qualities of Haridas Thakur that Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has not described in detail. So again, Krishnadas Kaviraj says, what the Vyas of the Chaitanya-lila is Vrindavan Das Thakur. But here I will describe those topics that Vrindavan Das hasn't described in detail, maybe just commented briefly on, but I will describe more in more detail what Vrindavan Das Thakur hasn't delineated completely. Haridas Jabe Nija Griha Tyaga Koila Bena Polera Bana Madhye Katadina Rohila. After leaving his home, Haridas Thakur stayed for some time in the forest of Benapola. Near Janabane Kutira Kore Tulasi Sevan Ratri Dine Teen Lak Namasankirtan. Haridas Thakur constructed a Haridas Thakur constructed a cottage in a solitary forest. There he planted a tulsi plant, and in front of the tulsi he would chant the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times daily. He chanted throughout the entire day and night. So 300,000 times daily, if we measure that on beads, it would be 192 rounds every day, 300,000. He chanted the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times daily. He chanted throughout the entire day and night. Brahmanara gare kore bika nirbahan prabhave sakala lok koreye pujan. Huh?
He just chanted all the time.
Yeah, he chanted day and night.
And day after day.
Yes. For his daily maintenance, he would go to a Brahmin's house and beg some food. He was spiritually so influential that all the neighboring people worshipped him. Se Deshadhyaka Nam Ramachandrakan Vaishnava Bidbeshi Se Bashanda Pradhan. A landholder named Ramachandra Khan was the zamindar of that district. He was envious of Vaishnavas and was therefore a great atheist. Now the zamindar means a big landholder, has large extensions of land and very rich, and he's the main person who in that area. Haridase loke puje sahite na pare, tara apamana korite nana upai kore. Unable to tolerate that such respect was being offered to Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra Khan planned in various ways to dishonor him. So Ramachandra Khan is the richer supposed aristocracy in that district. And he knows that Haridas Thakur is, of course, he knows that he's born in a Muslim family, and he can't tolerate that Haridas Thakur is being treated as a saint, that all the people have much love and appreciation for Haridas Thakur. And it's intolerable to Ramachandra Khan because he's very envious of the Vaishnavas. Unable to tolerate that such respect was being offered to Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra Khan planned in various ways to dishonor him. Haridase loke puje sahitena pare, tara apamana korite nana upai kore. Kon prakare haridaser chidra nahi pai, veshaganayani kore chidra upai. By no means could he find any fault in the character of Haridas Thakur. Therefore, he called for local prostitutes and began a plan to discredit His Holiness. Vaishyagane kohe e vairagi Haridas, tumi sab kora ihar vairagya dharmanash. Ramachandra Khan said to the prostitutes, there is a mendicant named Haridas Thakur. All of you devise a way to deviate him from his vows of austerity. Vaishya ganamadye sundare juvati sekohe tindine koriba taramati. Among the prostitutes, one attractive young girl was selected. I shall attract the mind of Haridas Thakur, she promised, within 3 days. Kanakohe mora paika joka tomarasane, tomarasahite katra taridare jena ane. Ramachandra Khan said to the prostitute, my constable will go with you so that as soon as he sees you with Haridas Thakur, immediately he will arrest him and bring both of you to me. Vaishakohe morasanga hauk ekbar dvatiya bare darite paika la imu tomar. The prostitute replied, first let me have union with him once. Then the second time I shall take your constable with me to arrest him. So she's saying, first I will seduce him, and then the constable can go and arrest him. Ratri kale se vesha Subesha Doria Haridaser Basaya Gelu Lasita Hoya. At night the prostitute, after dressing herself most attractively, went to the cottage of Haridas Thakur with great jubilation. So this is when Haridas, obviously, when Haridas Thakur is not old. He's a young person, young sadhu in this time. The prostitute is dressed very attractively, and she's going with this purpose of seducing Haridas Thakur. Tulasi namaskori Haridaser Dware Jana Gosaira namaskori Rohila Dondaya. After offering obeisances to the tulsi plant, she went to the door of Haridas Thakur, offered him obeisances, and stood there. So you can see that the prostitute, she's going there to seduce Haridas Thakur, but she's pious. First she offers obeisances to the tulsi plant, and then she offers obeisances to Haridas Thakur. Anga Ugadiya Dekai Basila Duyare Kohite Lagila Kichu Sumadura Sware. Exposing part of her body to his view, she sat down on the threshold of the door and spoke to him in very sweet words. Thakur tumi parama sundar pratama chobana tomadeki konare darite paremana. My dear Thakur, O great preacher, great devotee, you are so beautifully built, and your youth is just beginning. Who is the woman who could control her mind after seeing you? Tomara sangama lage lubda moraman, tomana paile pran najai daran. I am eager to be united with you. My mind is greedy for this. If I don't obtain it, I shall not be able to keep my body and soul together. Haridas kohe toma korimu angikar, shankyanam samapte javat, nahoy amar, tavat tumi base shuna, nama sankirtan, nama samapte, hoyle korimu jay, tomaraman. Haridas Thakur replied, I shall accept you without fail, but you will have to wait until I have finished chanting my regular rounds on my beads. Until that time, please sit and listen to the chanting of the holy name. As soon as I am finished, I shall fulfill your desire. Etashuni se vesha basya rohila kirtana kore haridasa prata kalahoila. Hearing this, the prostitute remained sitting there while Haridas Thakur chanted on his beads until the light of morning appeared. Pratakala deki besha Antya-lila sab samacharajai kanere kohila. When she saw that it was morning, the prostitute stood up and left. Coming before Ramachandra Khan, she informed him of all the news. Ajim ama angikara koriacha bachane kali abasya tahar sange hoibe sangame. Today Haridas Thakur has promised to enjoy with me. Tomorrow certainly I shall have union with him. Aradina ratre hoile besha aila Haridas Taribahu Ashvasa Korila. The next night, when the prostitute came again, Haridas Thakur gave her many assurances. Kaliduka paila aparad na loiba mor avasya korimu ami tomaya angigor. Last night you were disappointed. Please excuse my offense. I shall certainly accept you. So Haridas Thakur is saying, well, I chanted all last night, and I didn't have any relation with you. Please excuse my offense. I shall certainly accept you. But he says, I shall certainly accept you. So that, in what sense, we'll see. Tavat ihan basi shuna nama sankirtan nama purna hoile purna habe tomarman. Please sit down and hear the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra until my regular chanting is finished. Then your desire will surely be fulfilled. Tulasire take besha namaskara kori duare bashi namaskune bole hari hari. After offering her obeisances to the Tulsi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down at the door. Hearing Haridas Thakur chanting the Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, she also chanted, O my Lord Hari, O my Lord Hari. Ratri Seisha Hoila Besha Uni Mishi Kore Tararite Deki Haridasa Kohena Tahare. When the night came to an end, the prostitute was restless. Seeing this, Haridas Thakur spoke to her as follows. Koti nama grahana jagya kore ekmase a dikka koreyachi hoila ashi seishe. I have vowed to chant 10 million names in a month. I have taken this vow, but now it is nearing its end. So he's saying. Yes. I have vowed to chant 10 million names in a month. I have taken this vow, but now it is nearing its end. So,
happened before Mahaprabhu was here?
No, I don't believe so, but I'm not exactly sure when this happened, but I believe it's after Mahaprabhu has appeared, because there'll be a description later after Haridas leaves. Then there's also mention of Nityananda Prabhu. Koti nama grahan yagya kori ek mase edika koriachi hoila ashiseshe. I have vowed to chant 10 million names in a month. I have taken this vow, but now it is nearing its end. Aji samapta hoibe hena Antya-lila samasta ratri nilun nama samapta na hoila. I thought that today I would be able to finish my performance of yajna, my chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. I tried my best to chant the holy name all night, but I still did not finish. Kali samapta habe tabe habe brajabanga swachande tomara sange hoibeka sangha. Tomorrow I will surely finish, and my vow will be fulfilled. Then it will be possible for me to enjoy with you in full freedom. Beshagiya samachar kanere kohila aradins sandhya hoite takora tai aila. The prostitute returned to Ramachandra Khan and informed him of what had happened. The next day, she came earlier at the beginning of the evening and stayed with Haridas Thakur. Tulasike Thakurake namaskara kori dwaribasi namashune bole hari hari. After offering obeisances to the Tulsi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down on the threshold of the room. Then she began to hear Haridas Thakur's chanting, and she also personally chanted Hari Hari, the holy name of the Lord. Nama Purna Habe Aje Bole Haridas Tabe Purna Korimu Aje Tomara Abilas. Today it will be possible for me to finish my chanting, Haridas Thakur informed her. Then I will satisfy all your desires. Kirtana korite aiche ratri seisha hoila takorer shani beishara mana firegela. The night ended while Haridas Thakur was chanting, but by his association the mind of the prostitute had changed. Dandabad hoya pare takora chanane Ramachandra kanera kata koila nivedane. The night ended while Haridas Thakur was chanting, but by his association, the mind of the prostitute had changed. The prostitute, now purified, fell at the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur and confessed that Ramachandra Khan had appointed her to pollute him. Beishahoya mui pap koriachon apar kripa kori kora mo adame Nishtar. Because I have taken the profession of a prostitute, she said, I have performed unlimited sinful acts. My Lord, be merciful to me, deliver my fallen soul. Thakur kohe kanera kata saba amijani agya murga se tare dukkha nahi mani. Haridas Thakur replied, I know everything about the conspiracy of Ramachandra Khan. He is nothing but an ignorant fool. Therefore, his activities do not make me feel unhappy. Se din chaitama es dana chadiya, tin din rohilana toma nishtara lagia. On the very day Ramachandra Khan was planning his intrigue against me, I would have left this place immediately, but because you came to me, I stayed here for 3 days to deliver you. So Haridas indicated that he knew, a saint like Haridas Thakur, like Trikala Gyan, he knows past, present, and future. So he knew about the plot of Ramachandra Khan, but he tells telling the prostitute, but I didn't leave. Well, normally I would have done so, but I didn't leave because you came to me, and I stayed here for these 3 days just to deliver you, to give you the Maha Mantra. Beshiko he kripa kori koraha upadesh kimora kartavya jate jaya bhavaklesh. The prostitute said, kindly act as my spiritual master, instruct me in my duty by which I can get relief from material existence. Thakur kohe garera dravya brahmane koradan egaraya shetumi koraha vishram. Haridas Thakur replied, immediately go home and distribute to the Brahmins whatever property you have. Then come back to this room and stay here forever in Krishna consciousness. Because give away whatever you've accumulated by your profession as being a prostitute. You give that to the devotees. And then you come back here and live in this cottage and worship Tulsi. Nirantara namalal koratulasi sevan achirat pabe tabe krishnara charan. Chant the Hare Krishna mantra continuously and render service to the Tulsi plant by watering her and offering prayers to her. In this way you will very soon get the opportunity to be sheltered at the lotus feet of Krishna. So, this is Haridas Thakur's intention, to give refuge to this prostitute and give her, entrance into the chanting of the holy name. Tells her also why you chant and worship Tulsi, and give up any attachment to material existence. Eta boli tari nama upadesh kori Antya-lila Thakur boli hari hari. After thus instructing the prostitute about the process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Haridas Thakur stood up and left, continuously chanting Hari Hari. Tabe se Vaisya Gurur Agyaloiba Grihabita Jeva Chila Brahmaneri Dila. Thereafter the prostitute distributed to the Brahmins whatever household possessions she had, following the order of her spiritual master. Mata muri ek bastre rohila segare ratri dine teen lak nam grahana kore. The prostitute shaved her head clean in accordance with Vaishnava principles and stayed in that room wearing only one cloth. Following in the footsteps of her spiritual master, she began chanting the holy name of Krishna 300,000 times a day. She chanted throughout the entire day and night. Tulasi Sevan Kori Charbana Upavas Indriya Damana Hoila Primara Prakash. She worshipped the Tulsi plant, following in the footsteps of her spiritual master. Instead of eating regularly, she ate whatever food she received as alms, and if nothing was supplied, she would fast. Thus, by eating frugally and fasting, she conquered her senses, and as soon as her senses were controlled, symptoms of love of Godhead appeared in her person. Prasiddha Vaishnavi Hoila Parama Mahanti Bora Bora Vaishnav Tara darshanete janti. Thus the prostitute became a celebrated devotee. She became very advanced in spiritual life, and many stalwart Vaishnavas would come to see her. Bishara charitra deki loke chamatkar haridaser mahima lohe kore namaskar. Seeing the sublime character of the prostitute, everyone was astonished. Everyone glorified the influence of Haridas Thakur. Everyone glorified the influence of Haridas Thakur and offered him obeisances. So Ramachandra Khan had done this whole involved plot of sending a prostitute to seduce Haridas Thakur just to reduce Haridas Thakur's popularity, to show him as to bring him into disgrace. But instead, just the opposite happened. The prostitute became a great devotee, and this only increased the reputation of Haridas Thakur as being this, as being the Namacharya and the savior of everyone. This only increased his glories. Seeing the sublime character of the prostitute, everyone was astonished. Everyone glorified the influence of Haridas Thakur and offered him obeisances. Ramachandra Khan, Aparad Bija Koila, Se Bij Rika Hana, Agete Falila. By inducing a prostitute to disturb Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra Khan caused a seed of offense at his lotus feet to germinate. This seed later became a tree, and when it fructified, Ramachandra Khan ate its roots. So, by offending Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra Khan has committed a Vaishnava aparad, and he will get the reaction for that. Mahad aparader phala adbhuta katan prastava paya kohe shunabhaktagan. This offense at the lotus feet of an exalted devotee has resulted in a wonderful narration. Taking advantage of the opportunity afforded by these incidents, I shall explain what happened. O devotees, please listen. Sahajaya Vaishnava Ramachandra Khan Haridaser Aparade Hoila Asura Saman. Haridas Thakur was Ramachandra Khan was naturally a non-devotee. Now having offended the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur, he became just like a demoniac atheist. So he's a non-devotee, but now that he has committed an offense of Haridas Thakur, he has become just to the eyes of all, he's become like a demoniac atheist. Whereas before maybe he could be a little hidden. Now everyone can see him for what he is. Vaishnava Dharma Ninda Kore, Vaishnava Apaman, Bahudiner Aparade Paila Parinam. Because of blaspheming the cult of Vaishnavism and insulting the devotees for a long time, he now received the results of his offensive activities. Nityananda Gosai Gode Jabe Aila Preme Bracharite Tabe Brahmite Lagila. When Lord Nityananda returned to Bengal to preach the cult of Bhakti, love of Godhead, he began touring all over the country. Prema Bracharana Ara Pashanda Bolan Duikarye Stavara Korana Brahman, for two purposes: to spread the cult of Bhakti and to defeat and subdue the atheist. Lord Nityananda, the most dedicated devotee of the Lord, moved throughout the country. Sarvagya Nityananda Aila Taragare Ashiya Vasila Durga Mandapa Upare. Sarvagya Nityananda Aila Taragare Asya Basila Durga Mandapa Upare. Lord Nityananda, who is omniscient because he is the supreme personality of God, it came to the house of Ramachandra Khan and sat down on the altar of the Durga Mandapa. Well-to-do Hindu gentlemen constructed their houses with a place called the Durga Mandapa for the worship of the goddess Durga. There they generally held worship of the goddess every year in the month of Ashvin, September, October. So that's Durga Puja time. Ramachandra Khan possessed such a Durga Mandapa at his residence. So in those days, the inner house would be for the family, and then there would be outer rooms for friends and relatives, and then there would be like a Durga Mandapa, which is a place for worship. So they would have Durga Puja there, and many people would come and they'd be able to participate. It was built for that purpose of being able to give some facility because he's the main person in that town. Now, Lord Nityananda, who is omniscient because he is the Supreme Personality of God, it came to the house of Ramachandra Khan and sat down on the altar of the Durga Mandapa. Aneka lok jan sange angana barila pitara hoite Ramachandra sevaka pataila. When the Durga Mandapa and courtyard became filled with crowds of men, Ramachandra Khan, who was inside the house, sent his servant to Lord Nityananda. So Ramachandra, because Ramachandra Khan has the best facility in the town, he's rich, he has places where the town people are already meeting, so Lord Nityananda goes there because he wants to preach to the entire town. He wants to have a connection with the entire town. When the Durga Mandapa and courtyard became filled with crowds of men, Ramachandra Khan, who was inside the house, sent his servant to Lord Nityananda. Aneka lok jana sange angana barila bitara hoite Ramachandra sevaka pataila. Sevak bole gosai more pataila Khan grihanesha. Sevaka bole gosai more pataila Khan grihastera gare tomai diva basastan. The servant informed Lord Nityananda, my dear sir, Ramachandra Khan has sent me to accommodate you in some common man's house. So Ramachandra Khan didn't want Nityananda and so many people in his courtyard. He wanted to send him to a more, not a very nice place. He wanted to send him to somebody else's house or to a barn. Goyalara Goshala Hoy Adyanta Bistar Ihan Sankirtana Stala Tomara Manusha Par. You might go to the house of a milkman, for the cowshed is spacious. Whereas the space here in the Durga Mandapa is insufficient because you have many followers with you. So he's trying to ask Nityananda to leave. Go somewhere else. Go to a more spacious place like a barn or a cowshed. And there you can have all your followers with you. There's not enough room here in the Durga Mandapa of Ramachandra Khan. Bitariya Chila Shuni Krode Barila Ata Hase Gosai Kohete Lagila. When Nityananda Prabhu heard this order from the servant of Ramachandra Khan, he became very angry and came out. Laughing very loudly, he spoke as follows. Satyakohe egara mora jogya nai, moleche go barakore tara jogya hoy. Ramachandra Khan has spoken rightly. This place is unfit for me. It is fit for cow-killing meat eaters. So he's cursing, actually, like cursing Ramachandra Khan. Eta bole krode gosai Antya-lila taridanda dite se grame narahila. He said this. Having said this, Lord Nityananda stood up and left in an angry mood to chastise Ramachandra Khan. He did not even stay in that village. Ihan Ramachandra Khan sevake Antya-lila gosai jabat basila tara mate kodaila. Ramachandra Khan ordered the servant to dig up the dirt in the place where Nityananda had sat. Very offensive. Gomaya jale lepila sab mandira prangana Ramachandra tabu Ramachandra man nahoila parasana. To purify the Durga Mandapa temple in the courtyard, Ramachandra Khan sprinkled and smeared it with water mixed with cow dung, but still his mind was unsatisfied. Dashubriti kore Ramachandra Rajarena Deyakor Krudahaya Malecha Ujira Aila Taragar. Ramachandra Khan's business was questionable, for he tried to avoid paying income tax to the government. Therefore, the government's minister of finance was angry and came to his residence. So the government is Muslim, and already Ramachandra Khan, he has committed offense to Haridas Thakur, now committed offense to Nityananda Prabhu, but Ramachandra Khan's own dealings are shady. He's the zamindar. He's a rich man. He's supposed to be collecting taxes from everyone, paying the government, etc. The government is taxing all the villages, but he's obviously not giving the money as he's supposed to the government. Asi say Durga Mandape Basa Koila Abadya Bara Kore Mamsha Segare Randila. Therefore, the government minister of finance was angry and came to his residence. The Muslim minister made his residence in the Durga Mandapa of Ramachandra Khan. He killed a cow and cooked the meat at that very place. So Nityananda said, this place is not fit for me or my followers. Not fit for me or my followers. It's fit for a cow-killing malecha. And so that someone comes there from the Muslim government and kills a cow and eats it at that very place. Stri Putra Sahita Ramachandra Bundiya Taragara Gramalute Tina Dina Rahia. He arrested Ramachandra Khan along with his wife and sons, and then he continuously plundered the house and village for 3 days. Segaritindin Kore Amedya Randan Aradin Sabloya Kore Lagaman. In that way, he cooked the flesh of a cow for 3 consecutive days. Then the next day he left, accompanied by his followers. Jatidana Janakanera Sakala Loila Bahudin Parjandagram Ujjara Rahila. The Muslim minister took away Ramachandra Khan's position, wealth, and followers. For many days the village remained deserted. Mahanterapamana Jay Desha Gramehoy Ek Janaradoshe Sab Desha Ujjadoy. Whenever an advanced devotee is insulted for one man's fault, the entire town or place is afflicted. So I'm going to stop here. But this story of Ramachandra Khan trying to get a prostitute to seduce Haridas Thakur, that plan doesn't work, and the prostitute becomes a devotee, gives up all her possessions and becomes famous as a saint. Then that increases the reputation of Haridas Thakur. And then that same Ramachandra Khan who plotted in this way against Haridas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu comes there and he tries to get Nityananda to leave. But Nityananda does so. He leaves that same day. But first, he says these words which are like a curse to Ramachandra Khan, that, oh, you're right, this place is not fit for me, but a cow-killing mediator will come here. And that happens. Muslim minister comes there, kills a cow in Ramachandra Khan's very courtyard and cooks the meat, and the whole town becomes deserted. And the commentary here says that because of the offense of one person against a Vaishnava, the whole town gets this very bad reaction, this bad karma. So tomorrow we'll continue with this chapter. It's a very nice chapter describing the glories of Srila Haridas Thakur. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raguna Echai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jahoite Vijnana Shabhishta Puran Echai Gosai Jarmi Taradas Tansabar Padarenu Mora Panchagas Pader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame More Abhilas Echai Gosai Jabe Bhaje Koilabas Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakas Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodas Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhara Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsiko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai. Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anandakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Sokel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.